just selling, 100,000 or a million seems like a far-fetched concept. To go from that to selling over $40 million has been a really incredible journey. You're listening to the Amazon Seller Podcast from Amazing Freedom. My name's Nate Slamans, joined by Andy Slamans. And today we wanted to talk about some of the principles that have helped us sell. Get ready for this, Andy. Over $40 million now on Amazon. We were just looking at the numbers recently, and it's pretty crazy. Now, that's on an annual basis, but we've sold over $40 million. And, just looking back, not that long ago, just selling, 100,000 or a million seems like a far-fetched concept. To go from that to selling over $40 million has been a really incredible journey. We talked a lot about this last week, but today I think we want to focus in on some of the, timeless principles that have helped with this. Personally, some of what we use is part of our worldview and our frameworks to apply to business, I think really make a huge difference. So walk us through maybe some of these principles and like practically how we are using these to help in our Amazon business.
Yeah. So, what we're going to say, unfortunately, is kind of become controversial. We believe in the Bible. We use the Bible as our guidebook for our personal life as well as for our business life. And Nate, I honestly think that the Bible has been the foundational piece in our life that's been able to help us build to that $40 million level on Amazon. And the three secrets that we're going to share today, if folks know the Bible, they're going to hear these and they're going to recognize them right away. If they don't know the Bible, I encourage you to get a Bible, open it up, get the Bible app, open it up. Again, unfortunately, in our culture, a lot of times we've pushed the Bible aside as being not relevant to how we live our daily life. And Nate, I think it's the exact opposite. I mean, the Bible is extremely relevant. It's full of wisdom on how to live life in a practical way. And it's full of wisdom when it comes to running and operating your business. So if you ever look or study the Jewish culture, Jews are phenomenal when it comes to business and when it comes to wealth creation and when it comes to building businesses. And a lot of their success, they will tell you, is because it's been passed down generation to generation from the Bible. And so we're going to talk about that today. I hope you're excited about what we're going to share. We're going to share the 3 Bible secrets that have helped us build a $40 million Amazon business. So let's just go ahead and hit it off. Number one is specialization. So this actually didn't come out as an economic term till about 1850. There was a man, Adam Smith. He wrote a short 2-page document, and he talked about how for economies to work properly, they need to be specialized. What's funny is 8,000 years earlier, the Bible was talking about this. And one of the last chapters in Genesis, Jacob, he was a patriarch, 147 years old, Nate. He was about to die. And you would think he would have just packed up shop, and said, okay, I'm ready to go home. But instead, he gathers all of his sons around and he gives his sons specific instructions based on what they were good at. So like he says, Judah, this is what you're good at. This is what your blessing is going to be. Reuben, this is what you're good at. This is what your blessing is going to be. So he's basically laying the foundation for specialization. And, it's like we're not just one big clump of people. Each of us have different gifts and talents that we need to activate, right? And when we do that, it's going to help the community at large. And so that's what the Bible really teaches is like, hey, find out what you're good at. And then as you hone that skill, you're going to provide value to other people who are around you, who are also going to be good at something that's going to provide value to you. And really, that's what business is all about, right, Nate? And I think like as our Amazon business has grown, and especially now the brand that we have, we provide tremendous value. We've become really good at it. We've specialized it. And now we provide tremendous value to all the customers who use our products, right?
Yeah. And so what does this mean for us as sellers, business owners? I think there's a couple ways to take this, but the first way I would look at it is when you first start selling on Amazon, you're typically a generalist, right? You've got to do a little bit of everything. You're not very specialized. You're just trying to maybe specialize by selling online e-commerce in that way, but you're just trying to do everything yourself. And over time, I feel like every business owner needs to surround themselves with specialists who are going to help take you to the next level. And you might maintain your generalist knowledge, but you surround yourself with partners or specialists who can really hone in on certain areas of the business. So we've done that through, hiring a bunch of people. Andy, you and I myself have different skill sets. So we kind of specialize in different areas of the business on top of being a little general. And then, like you said, most sellers over time tend to specialize in an area of selling, right? We don't know too many sellers who are like, I'm the private label master, I'm the wholesale master, I'm the retail master, and the online arbitrage master. It's usually a specialist area. And then within that area, you usually specialize even further. We know a lot of people who are retail arbitrage toy masters, right? Or they're all into health and beauty or all into shoes is a common one. We know a lot of specialists. At this point in our private label journey, we have specialized in a certain category really with our brand. And most brands, right, tend to specialize unless you're a generalist retailer like a Walmart. And even then, you're kind of specialists in the home, the home staple good type market. So I feel like that's where we need to recognize. And then you have to say, okay, how do I complement my current skills with the specialist? One thing I actually just recently did, there's a new personality test developed by Ray Dalio and Adam Grant. It's kind of like other ones that have been out there, but I feel like they've they've changed it a little bit. They've done a good job helping you see how you compare to other people. It's at principlesu.com, I think. And so I recently took that with another, with Abs, who's on with us right now. And what I like about it is it really, you can compare it with someone and it says like, hey, you guys are similar in this way, but you're different in this way. You might think of it like this, while he thinks of it like this. And I haven't seen many personality tests, at least free ones, that do that. And so maybe if you're listening to this and you have a partner or some team members, take this together, and I feel like it can help you better relate to each other. And a lot of working with other people is just understanding your differences, I feel like, and then saying, okay, I think of it this way. I'm a more rigid person, according to the personality, but someone else might be more flexible. They need this. They get motivated. They get motivated by these types of goals, where I look at kind of longer term goals. So I feel like that's helpful, and to me, that ties to this specialization principle.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Let's go to the second one. So second one, Hebrew word for money, it means accounting. Now, we just shared like this one, you probably don't get to till after you start selling. But once immediately you start selling and you start building your business, it may even come before that. You have to give an accounting of how much capital you have and where you're at financially, right? But once you start selling, you have to keep a good accounting of your margins. You have to have a good idea, especially as an Amazon business, on what products you're selling. I can't tell you how many people, Nate, I've met who are selling products and they don't even know it, but they're actually losing money. They think they're making money, but then when they add up all the fees, all the inbound shipping to Amazon, they actually end up losing a couple of dollars when they thought they were making 5 to 6, right? Because they're not very good at the Hebrew definition for money, which means accounting. So I think what we've learned in our business is you really have to measure your achievements. And in thinking about this, think about John Rockefeller, who I believe was an accountant. And at the time, he was the wealthiest person in the world. What did he do? He kept amazing books, right? Down to the last dime. Now, that may be a little extravagant. However, he was the wealthiest man in the world, right? So that may have meant that he had to take extravagant measures. But a lot of times, folks in business aren't good at record keeping. And there's no accountability, right, for their money, no accountability for their time. And it's important, right, that we keep good records, that we set aside time every week. And we do this in our business where we have very detailed records of our accounting, right, for the time, for the products. And I think it's also important that you account for your achievements. And so, one thing that we've done in our business, you absolutely need to do in your business, is you need to set goals. When you reach those goals, right, you need to celebrate it, but you need to set those goals super high, because that's going to push you to reach those goals that may seem unattainable.
Yeah, and to be fair, some people are more naturally gifted or inclined towards this type of accounting. Like Rockefeller, I think he was around 12 years old. He had this ledger. Literally at that age, he was recording every single thing. Some of it's out of necessity. He was basically the man of the house. He had to take care of everything. So he couldn't be flippant with his money at any time. He was basically leading the home, and he helped build their house, I think, at 13 or 14. And so some people are gifted towards that. So if you're not, I think you just have to recognize this. And, something I appreciate so much about Gary Ray's coaching and the Tribe coaching is he definitely emphasizes this. He makes it a huge priority. He's a master at Inventory Lab and helping sellers come in and put in all of the necessary relevant expenses into Inventory Lab, and not just guess at what your profits are, but to truly dial it all the way down to the true net profit each month. And I think that's important. Now, one caveat to that is that when you're first starting, you just need to sell, right, Andy? I mean, you're good at this, starting a new business, starting a new brand, and it's like, man, we can worry about all the accounting you want, but if you have $0 of revenue, it really doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to do very well. So until you hit a certain level, in any business, you definitely just need to focus on selling good. You can't be losing money, of course, but you have to. You could even. That's what venture-backed type capital is for, right? Businesses that do lose money in the beginning. Most sellers, though, are you try not to lose money, but you just got to sell. Probably until you hit the $1 million mark, you just got to be focused on selling with decent margins. But at certain levels of your business, you do have to take this more serious, hire people in. We recently hired in, Steve, he's very good at this. So he's helping us. Another book I would recommend if you are kind of in between this different stages of business, 1 million to 10 million, is called Ready, Fire, Aim. And it breaks down different business stage growth and how you might want to look at hiring people and formatting your business. But either way, accounting can definitely make or break a business, like you said.
Awesome. Yeah. So first one is specialization. I think, again, looking at our Amazon business, we've been able to find our niche. We've been able to specialize. So many times people start businesses. So if you're listening to this podcast, you haven't started selling on Amazon yet. Think back, how many businesses have you started? And then you get the shiny object syndrome and you move on to something else. So when you do start a business, right, you have to give it time. You have to be able to become a master at that specialization. And I think we see that oftentimes, right, Nate, with Amazon sellers, the folks that come in and they stay with it and they keep hungry, they keep learning, they end up becoming $1 million sellers. Whereas we've had a lot of other folks that have come in and they quit after 2 or 3 months and say, this is not for me. Well, you didn't give it time yet for your specialization. Second thing is you got to be able to keep good accounting. That is business 101, right? You have to know if you're making money or if you're losing money. And then here's the third biblical principle that I love, that I think you and I have both modeled as we've built our $40 million Amazon business. It comes from the book of 2 Kings. So the prophet Elisha, he's approached by this poor widow. Those of you that know the Bible, you'll know the story, who has nothing, and so she comes to Elisha. She says, look, I have nothing. I need food to feed my children. And he tells her, look, you have something. Go back to your house and search for something of value and bring it back to me. She says to him again, look, Elisha, I have nothing. I'm a poor widow. And he says, you have to find something. So she goes back and she finds one teensy weensy tiny bit of oil. And Elisha looks at it and he's like, oh, okay, this is going to work. And then he tells her this. He says, now go to all your neighbors and friends and borrow 50-gallon oil drums from anyone. I want you to get thousands of drums that can hold 1,000 gallons of oil. So she does that. She's a willing participant. So she goes, she brings back all these drums. And that's one of the great miracles that we see in 2 Kings, because Elisha prays a miracle. And then there's 1,000 gallons of oil, right, in these drums. And she becomes, here's a joke, she becomes the first oil tycoon in the Middle East, right? And it's because of this miracle that Elisha did. Now, the interesting part of that is, why couldn't have Elisha poured oil right out of his thumb? He could have, but he made the poor widow go back and search, because I believe this, each and every one of us has a tiny bit of oil inside of us, has a little spark of potential. And that's what God wants to bring out. And I think, when you and I first started our Amazon business, we didn't just pray, hey, God, give us an Amazon account, help us, to find profitable products. We started looking around our house. I started selling books around my house. I started selling old classic board games that were used. Yes, you can sell those on Amazon. And those were some of the very first products. And so I think for me, that was the tiny oil. God said, hey, look, Andy, I see that you want to build your business and I'm going to bless you in doing this. But now, just like the birds have to dig in the ground for worms, God just doesn't place worms right in their nest. They have to go and dig and work to find those worms. Well, the same thing comes right with the business. You got to start somewhere. And a lot of times, like in my case, just like in the case of the old widow, it was just tiny little jars of oil that amazingly now have been birthed now into this $40 million worth of sales on Amazon. How cool is that, Nate?
Yeah, for me, it was books also through a connection that I had to get some books. And then I had an old Lego set in my closet that was probably literally 10 years old, never been opened. So I was able to sell it as new still. It never touched it. And I think it sold for $80 or $90 because you know how Lego sets can do that. They can actually appreciate in value. Definitely, we have some hardcore Lego toy collectors I know in our in the tribe and other places. And that was big for me to see that come through. And I think it netted out. I think our merchant fulfilled it. And I actually just netted 60 or $70. And that was big. It was kind of like the proof of concept, real money coming in, where most of the books, most of the time were just a couple bucks here and there. I also found a video game one time that was this hard to find racing video game that was kind of rare. And I think it sold for $150. So just those little things that sparked kind of the hunger and the thrive, I think are kind of along what you're hitting there with that principle. Mm-hmm. Well, I like it. These are three, biblical principles that we have used that we still apply that we think are very relevant to anybody that is looking to start a business, that is looking to sell on Amazon. We're going to continue to focus on these both as we continue to build what we're doing and as we bring in other team members to form around the business and to continue to grow and in future ventures together. So if this is something that you're looking to do, use these principles. If you're like, hey, I don't know where to start with the proven principles and what we just went through. There's definitely no better way than to model success that has already happened. Look to other people that you've seen do it. You don't have to always invent the wheel every single time. Make sure you go to amazingfreedom.com, sign up to be an insider. We send out a newsletter every week with principles like this, as well as stories from the tribe. We have this monthly magazine where we're sharing some incredible stories from $1 million and all types of sellers that are selling on Amazon. You can get that for free delivered to you. In our opinion, the very best, really the only magazine that we know of that's specifically for Amazon sellers. You can get that if you go become an insider. Otherwise, Andy, we'll be back next week to talk about our business and all things. Close us out with any final words.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to add here, Nate, because I know a number of Amazon sellers listen to us. One way that you can get some real bang for the oil that you have is go to AMZProfessional.com. That is the service that we work with Amazon sellers by helping them get back money that Amazon is keeping. So on average, we get back 1.8 to 2% of whatever your gross sales are on a monthly basis. So in some accounts, that's a huge amount of money that you do not want to lose, and there's a limited time. So again, that service, which we work with over 200 Amazon sellers, they love it. Go to AMZProfessional.com, check it out. And it's a hands-off approach. Nate, just talk a little bit about it real quick as we end here.
Well, what's interesting is the number is actually going up, I feel like, in our own anecdotal experience. Before, it was actually a lower percentage. You mentioned that 1 to 2 to even 3%. And lately it's been going up. And so on our financial statement review that we do every month, it's becoming a more and more meaningful number that we see our profit margin be, one thing prior to reimbursements. But if you add in reimbursements, I mean, that's the difference between taking maybe from a 15 to an 18% margin, which, I mean, that's a big increase in the amount of money that you're taking home. And something that, we talk to with our AMZ Pro team, these are real people that are going in and trying to find this money, which again, you could do yourself. But again, we have people spending hours and hours and every day in going back to our first principle of specialization. The team specializes in this. They look at reimbursements and FBA shipments every single day and have gotten very good at uncovering money that is hidden in the account. It really could be the difference between staying in business and having good margins or letting it go away. And the frustrating thing is, again, you can lose it forever, right? So Amazon's like, hey, if you don't take care of this yourself after so long, 9 months for FBA shipments, 18 months for others. Some reimbursement types, you only have 3 months or less to take care of them and they can go away, which is very easy to get caught up in your busy, we're doing a million things a day to sell. It can be hard to remember to go in and do your reimbursement. So take care of it yourself. Have someone on your team take care of it. Don't let it just go to Amazon. Trust me, Amazon doesn't need it. They'll find another way to get money from us if they're struggling, right? They don't need your money for no reason. Make sure you take care of it or have AMZProfessional.com take care of it, automated for you, automated in the sense that it's done for you. You don't have to worry about it. Once you sign up, it's taken care of for someone that's essentially your own AMZ professional. And then lastly, I'll just say, the FBA shipments have really become a burden for a lot of sellers, for us including. And so we're actively trying to help sellers be the best service in the world for helping sellers with FBA shipments, because Amazon now, no matter, if it's 1 unit or 1,000 units that gets lost because of Amazon or their check-in system, whatever, you require invoices. They have to be just right. You have to submit them. You have to keep on top of the cases. There's a lot of follow-up with that. So we're trying to help. It's not perfect yet. We're trying to make it better. There is back and forth. You have to provide the documents, right? So that's not easy. We don't fake documents or do anything like that could get your account shut down, obviously. So never do that. We make sure it's legit. And there is just a lot of back and forth that our AMZ professionals are good at navigating those. Something in business, going back to that number 2 accounting principle, you can't let it go away, or that's just, it's like having, my analogy would be, it's like driving a boat through the ocean. You got this massive hole in the bottom of your boat and you're just like, it's fine. I'm going to leave that and expect to make it to the other side. AMZ Professional comes in and they're the patch or they're bailing water at least for you to help prevent that. So hopefully that helps you. And if you haven't yet, go sign up, AMZProfessional.com. It's month to month, no long-term commitments. And again, compared to someone who's charging 15% to get your money back, that could save you literally thousands of dollars a month in reimbursement fees, depending on your level of selling. Andy, anything else on that?
Nope, that's great.
All right, we'll catch you guys next week to talk about what we're doing in our business, all things selling on Amazon and building our brand, part of our $10 million challenge that we're doing. And, we talked about last week, even getting to 30 million and beyond. Catch you guys in the next episode of the podcast. See ya.